Welcome back to Working Class Minds. Today we've got Ben Greene here. This is a video series we're doing with blue collar endurance training where we really touch in to the mental side of things and development, learning, all these pieces that it takes to be an elite athlete, or if you're just getting started and you're really trying to up your game in the sport. So Ben's a All-Pac 12 performer in the 800 meters. He's a hard worker, he's a great teammate, and just a great guy overall, and really glad to have him today. Ben,
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we'll start it off a little bit light. You had a background in soccer. You want to talk a little bit about that? When did you start? You know, there's a lot of runners out there that start in other sports. So just kind of touch on that experience a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I kind of started sports, I was probably about 5, 6 years old. And I just kind of fell in love with soccer, and it was kind of always my sport. Up until kind of high school, I started to run track to get in shape. I did indoor and outdoor, and I'm from Maine, so it's kind of a small state.
Right.
Not a ton of competition in the track and cross-country world, but yeah, there's just, that kind of started like my love for track, and by the end of sophomore year, I kind of made the switch, and that was kind of the rest of history. And then after that, now it's my sport. So.
Who got you into the sport? Was it like a coach, or did a friend recommend it to you?
It honestly was my dad. I mean, He ran D3 track at Brandeis University, and I just kind of, I don't know, I always was kind of relentless to do it when I was younger. Soccer was a little more engaging, all those other sports that, the young kids do, but I just kind of eventually, I think coming to it later helped me out as far as like not being burnt out and being, excited about it and everything like that. So I think that was definitely a big part.
No, for sure. I think it takes two pieces to really be good in the sport. It takes that non-burnout factor where it's like you started doing sports at a young age, and so you didn't specialize until a later point. But then it's also you were in sports, so the working piece of it, and putting in the work day in and day out in order to get better, and just learning to check boxes. And so I think when you have an athlete like yourself that was in other sports and learned those qualities, but then got into running a little bit later, I think that leaves a little bit more room for growth. And so that's kind of where I want to transition a little bit to next, is going to Colorado from Maine. So did you view yourself as underdeveloped because of your later start in the sport? And then going into CU, how did that impact your mentality a little bit? Were you more of a sponge, and were you trying to learn a little bit more than others because you had a late start?
Yeah, I would say I was very underdeveloped coming in. I didn't really have any aerobic base. And this program is like, this is like the biggest aerobic base program
university,
ever. Yeah, exactly. So I was getting recruited by a couple other schools, and I was waiting to hear from them, and I got the offer, and I came, and I had no scholarship offer, but I just got the roster spot, and I just kind of came on and was like, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Just kind of take the leap of faith and bet on myself. And it ended up working out, but I think for me coming in, we had a very good team. We were kind of transfer you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right after COVID, all that stuff. But like I learned from guys like Lalo and they're just so good, and just kind of like you said, like a sponge. So I was just trying to like learn everything and just honestly survive that first cross country fall semester.
Absolutely.
That was pretty brutal. But after that, you kind of figure it out and get in your routine. And yeah, I ended up, not being injured freshman year, which is also a very big thing.
Right.
And I think durability maybe came from my soccer background.
No, absolutely.
So I think that's a big part. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned, I wanted to highlight, you said betting on yourself. And I think a lot of people that watch this video can really relate to that. There's a lot of high schoolers out there, that are thinking about what is the next step that I can take in training. And maybe it's like they're building up to their senior year, and it's like they want to change some things to really just make a big jump in performance. What is one of the things that you would highlight the most to that kid that's asking themselves that question?
Yeah, I know, for me in high school, I had to do workouts with other guys from other towns because I didn't really have anyone on my team. And I think the biggest thing for me was just doing workouts with guys that were just so much better than me. And I could just, you stick on, you get dropped some workouts, and then eventually you just stop getting dropped and you get to that level. It just like you are being surrounded by people that are better than you, it just makes you better.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, obviously it's a lot easier in college and you can't really control that in high school, but you know, obviously betting on yourself too is a mentality. And I think you just kind of gotta, you know, make that decision. Do I really want to go to this elite top Power 5 level for the track? I mean, that's a big commitment, and a lot of people make it and then they realize, oh, I don't know if this is not for me. But you just kind of got to be able to, do I want this? And if you want it, then just tunnel vision, go get it, you know?
For sure. This is an interesting topic that we actually have with, like, you know, I had it on a run the other day, and I really would be curious to have your like answer on this question.
Yeah.
When it comes to luck in sports, because some people, you know, like say, oh, there's a little bit of luck to it, right?
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, there's no luck in sports. And when it comes to a sport like running, and completely your perspective, not just like the overall view of other people, I want to know what you think. How much of it is making your own luck versus just not, like, just believing it's up to other forces?
I think I believe you make your own luck. You can put yourself in good situations. Sure, sometimes you'll get into a bad race or a bad heat, and you know you won't get pulled along. But like other than that, like I think you can make your own luck by doing all the little things, the intangibles that you can control, everything that, you know, like as far as nutrition, recovery, all that stuff. That's the stuff that you can control and put yourself into that lucky situation.
And so when you said putting yourself into that lucky situation, I wanted to highlight one of your races at UW where you know, you were in that right position and things happened in your favor, and the perfect line opens up.
It was crazy.
We'll run the clip on that. That absolutely sick at UW. Can you kind of just like tell me what was going on, like mentally in your head when you saw that wall open up? And the viewers are going to go crazy on this.
Yeah, that was, I mean, you'll see the clip. It was a wild race. We were just coming through 600 in like 120. It was an 800 indoors at University of Washington. And I mean, this was pretty much like a highlight for the Pac-12 final. It was all the good guys in there from the Pac-12. And with like 150 to go, there's some mix up in there. Someone got tripped up and 3 guys went down right in front of me, but they all fell outside. So I just kind of the Red Sea got parted right there. Yeah, it was great. And I had a free little, you know,
the perfect line
to go through and kick that, you know, race in to the finish line.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was super sick.
Yeah.
The whole team was going nuts whenever like we watched that happen. It was like, not in a way like, oh yes, they fell, but it's more like, oh yeah, Ben's gonna like,
he's gonna, yeah.
So
I remember seeing you guys at the corner of my eye, like on that far like corner with like 120 to go.
Yeah, that
was great.
No, that was awesome. So, okay, now I kind of want to touch on like one of your highest accomplishments in the sport, like so far, and that's like the Pac-12 championship last year, where you were fifth. Okay, so going into the meet, what was your headspace like? Purely like your own expectation, not others' expectations of you. What did you think? I would be satisfied if I did this.
I mean, last year that was like my first real season running the 8. I was always a 15-miler in high school.
Right.
And even freshman year, I only ran the 15, maybe like ran 1.8 or something. But I think I kind of was just, I always try to have the underdog mentality. Like, my biggest like role model in sport is Tom Brady, and I feel like he always has. It's a little cliche, but I'm from New England. You know?
Yeah, man, it's the New England. Yeah.
And he always has that underdog mentality, like his whole career. And I think that's like, you want to be the hunter, not the hunted. You know.
The 6th round draft.
Yeah, you were always like, you're always trying to like, because once you're out in front, you think you're like, you know, clear of everyone else. Like people will come right by you and you know, kick you down in that last 100. So I think going in, I was kind of always the underdog, still am today. And you just kind of gotta go in with the mindset of like, whatever happens, happens. I kind of like to go with I love to say before races, run free. Just run, put yourself in a good position to win, and if you have it, you have it.
No, couldn't agree more. Like
that day, I had a good kick and ended up getting fifth. So
control what you can't control.
Yeah.
And then just if the Red Sea opens up, that's
it happens.
Great,
sometimes you just have it, and sometimes you don't. It's
cool.
The beauty of track.
So in the heats, and this will be really useful information for kids that may be going through the heats at their championship meet or whatever it may be. What do you, if you're a coach, what are you telling these kids, like when they're running the heats, like based off of like their heat sheet, their capability? What are some things that what's some advice you would give?
Like as far as like prelims?
Yeah, like running prelims and getting into a final, or if you're trying to save energy for a final,
that's
kind of hard
honestly,
to do that in an 8.
You got to just make the final. That's the thing. Sometimes like last year, I ran a great tactical final, just put myself in a good position, third from the gun, and then you just the whole race just telling yourself, relax, 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 stay in good position, and then I just outkicked one guy, got the auto qual, and I think my biggest advice is just get yourself in a good spot. You don't want to get boxed, and just try to be relaxed. And then that last 150, if you're not in any like contention, you look pretty good. Take a couple looks around, and then maybe take off the gas the last 5-10 meters. Just save some stuff in your legs. But I mean, honestly, going from prelim to final, I've always had a good history of doubling. I don't think anyone should be intimidated by like back-to-back days or whatever.
Right.
I think honestly you can race I raced an even better race the next day. So I think getting out hard, putting yourself in a good spot, and then just staying relaxed. Just keep telling yourself that.
Right. So you say you tell yourself to stay relaxed. That's like an example of like positive self-talk or just like talking to yourself mentally during the race. But an 800's only a minute and 50 seconds, roughly. How much of it can you actually spend time thinking versus it becoming instinctual based off of your training, and it's just kind of a reaction?
Yeah, maybe it's in workouts you can kind of practice that, just like thinking, this is the point of the race where I do this. But I know like my first 200, I'm always kind of like, all right, get out hard,
right,
and then kind of settle after that 400, after that I guess 300, and then 400 to 600 you gotta be like push, but like you're not always gonna be thinking that. But I think it's more instinctual, as you were saying.
Yeah.
You're just kind of, I've run enough 800s now that I kind of know, and that's part of the learning curve of racing. And for all the young people watching this, you just get better with more races and more experience in different situations. So you'll kind of figure out what you want to say and do in your head during the race. Some people just like blank mind and just go off of instinct, which sometimes is great.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah.
Okay. And then kind of to wrap things up a little bit, fast forward to the final, the Pac-12 championship. You get your moment and you score for the team.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people will go through their entire collegiate career and they will never score a single point at the conference meet.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never scored a point in the ACC meet. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
That final moment when the culmination of work, it all comes into fruition. You're coming down that last 50 meters and you almost know already, even though it hasn't been cemented yet, I'm gonna do this. And then you make it happen, and then you cross the line, and then there's your teammates hyping you up, and there's your coaches there, and your whole support system, that kind of thing. Can you just run me through that feeling, in that moment?
I mean, that's what the sport's all about, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of like, that's the culmination of all your work coming to a close. And I remember like that race, so clearly, especially the last 100. I remember I got out horribly in that race, which is funny. It was the 3 Colorado boys at the back, third to last, and to so on. And I just remember just coming around 400. I'm like, all right, I got to start moving up, being patient. The previous 200, and then now I'm just kind of moving up. And I do remember just thinking in my head like I'm gonna get these guys, and then in the last 100, I kind of slowly am like, all right, every guy I get is just like more scholarship, because I wasn't on any scholarship until last year.
So it's just a paycheck at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just like thinking in my head like, every guy is money. Come on, like let's go. And it just kind of like every guy passed just carried me a little bit. And I remember I got one guy like right at the line. There's a photo. I mean, you can roll the clip.
Just getting every single.
Yeah, I leaned a guy right at the end.
All those points.
Exactly. And it was great. And I look up at the scoreboard and I see, because I didn't know what time I ran, and I see 149, and that was the first time I ran sub 150. And I just remember being just like so excited, and that's the feeling of true like happiness.
Yeah.
You just kind of like
absolutely
so happy about what you did and accomplished. And it was cool because all my, like you said, friends, teammates, my dad was there to see that.
Yeah.
And that was really special. So
yeah, it's just going from like an underdeveloped athlete to developing in the sport to now you got a spot at a good school but you're not on scholarship, but then you do something that's scholarship worthy, and some people go through their entire collegiate careers, and that will never happen to them. And so
I was going to add one more thing.
Yeah.
Like there's always another level. Like you got to keep like that mentality of like, all right, I'm still the underdog, like I was saying before, and you just got to keep leveling up. Like for me now, like I still got to keep leveling up, make nationals and all this stuff. So there's always more you can go, and that's like a good message I'd say to
for sure
the younger athletes watching this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it doesn't matter if you're a high schooler, like brand new runner, you're a marathoner. That's something that anyone can take, and it's like whenever your sense of accomplishment, like this personal accomplishment that no one can take away from you, it's just an addicting feeling, man.
Yeah.
And then it gets you addicted to the work that gets you there, and it's a cycle.
Exactly. It's just it keeps you going. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So all right, Ben. Well, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your experiences and wisdom with the audience. And man, just really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.